Hi guys, my name is Michelle from Modeling Michelle, and if you are a lover of all things fashion, luxury, and lifestyle, then you're in the right place. Please be sure to subscribe if you enjoy this video. Hey y'all, if you are new to my channel, welcome. If you are a returning viewer / subscriber, welcome back. All right, you guys, so today we're going to be talking about 5 reasons why brands may pass on a collaboration. So you guys may not know this. I don't think I've ever shared this, but the industry I'm in is actually influencer marketing. My last role before I had my baby was an influencer marketing manager. So I want to share with you guys from a manager's perspective, as well as just someone who is on the other side who works with brands, from that perspective as to why a brand may pass on a collaboration. I feel like this is one thing that, influencers like to know, because sometimes, you want to figure out and you want to know why a brand may pass on a collab, especially if you feel like it would have been a great fit. So I'm going to be sharing that with you all. In terms of my background, like I said, I am from the influencer marketing space. I'm influencer marketing manager, and pretty much what that means is that, in terms of like me helping brands kind of scope out and create a campaign, as well as sourcing creators for that campaign, budgeting, content review, and all of that feedback, like analytics at the end. I was a part of that entire process and managing that process. So I'm going to give you guys the inside tea and hope you guys enjoy this video. So just to kick things off and not waste too much time, first reason why a brand may pass on a collab is because of the budget for the collaboration for that campaign, as well as timing. So brands do have a set budget per campaign, and I feel like one misconception is that creators tend to think that big brands always have humongous budgets for every campaign, and that's not necessarily the case. Depending on what the brand is looking to do for that year, for that quarter, sometimes they have different campaigns, and they may be smaller campaigns with smaller budgets. So just because a brand is like a really huge brand, it doesn't necessarily mean that they always have millions of dollars of budget to go towards that campaign in particular that you are applying for. So typically brands have a budget, the amount of creators that they ideally would like to work with, and basically like trying to figure out how they can kind of fit and work with the amount of creators, the type of creator in terms of their size, with their followers, as well as their engagement, and then also just working within that budget. If a brand may pass, it may be because maybe that particular rate that you had would have exceeded what they would have allotted for that campaign in particular, or maybe the budget was already allotted for that campaign, and because of that they don't really have any more space in the campaign for another collaboration. Next, within that same bullet point, I do have timing too. Sometimes brands are really going full force with the campaigns that they have, and other times they pull back a bit just because they're wanting to review kind of their analytics, what came out of the last campaign that they may have had, or campaigns. They may have had an ambassador program that now they're taking a little bit of a pause because they've put in so much into that program, and they're wanting to kind of take a look and see how things are going to work for another campaign. So because of timing, they may pass on a collaboration just because they're kind of scaling back a bit to figure out how they're going to allocate their dollars for another campaign the next quarter, so on and so forth. So I want to pause here to say, if you guys have any questions, drop them down below and I'll be happy to answer them for you guys to kind of clarify, and hopefully that makes sense. The next reason why a brand may pass on a collaboration with an influencer is because of the quality of the content. So brands are always looking for really top tier quality, especially if they are paying you for that collaboration. So they really want to make sure that the quality of the content is going to be nice, especially if they're going to be using that content for any advertising purposes, sharing it like any other marketing material. They're going to want to make sure they're able to work with creators who can provide the quality that they're looking for. Does that mean that you need to go out and buy a $5,000 camera? Absolutely not. But it is important to know how to utilize the equipment that you have. If you do have a camera, making sure you have the right settings, have the right lighting, making sure you have the right lens to execute what the brand is looking for a campaign in particular, as well as also if you're using your iPhone, just making sure you know how to use it in 4K, making sure that your content has a nice bright appeal and nature depending on what content you create. So just keep that in mind. Brands are usually looking for creators who have nice quality content because they're able to see, okay, if I do provide this creator, with payment and with product, they'll be able to execute based off of what their expectations would be. Next on the list is they may be looking for creators in a particular niche that you may not be a part of. So let's say, for example, I am a fashion brand, right? Typically fashion brands are going to be looking for more fashion forward creators, or creators who kind of the way they dress fit the target audience and the look for their brand in particular. So if it's a fashion brand and you typically create, I don't know, commentary on TV shows or something, a brand may not necessarily want to work with you, not because anything's wrong with your content, but mainly just because they want to make sure that the target audience that they're trying to reach, your content that you create, will work within that target audience and reach those people. So someone who's creating like commentary for a TV show may reach a certain age group, demographic, they may reach a certain type of person who's watching it versus someone who is like really wanting to consume and purchase clothing pieces, items, accessories, and different things like that. So if you notice that you're applying for some campaigns and you're getting passed on, just take a look at the content that you're creating and see if it kind of lines up. I'm not saying that to try to make you change what you do. At the end of the day, you have to make sure that your content resonates the most with you and the audience will follow. But I'm just kind of giving feedback if you notice that, like, dang, like, why am I applying for these campaigns and getting passed up on? And maybe because of the niche and the type of content that you create. Next up is, which is really important, really important, it's your engagement and your reach. So brands are wanting to work with, for paid collaborations especially, brands are wanting to work with creators that have good engagement. They're wanting to see that your content that you create will get people to talk about it, whether it's commenting, sharing your content, engaging with your content, liking your content, all of those things. Brands always want to see what your engagement is like. Follower count is always nice, of course, but someone may have a huge following, as you guys may know, may have a huge following and their engagement may be really low. So don't always try to chase that really big number. Make sure that the number of like the followers or subscribers or whatever you may have, make sure they're engaging with you, because that's what's going to be really important. A brand may prefer to work with a content creator that has 20K followers and like a 6.5 engagement rate, versus a content creator who has maybe, let's say, 60K, but their engagement rate is 0.6%. Like, absolutely not. Of course, as you go up the tier, going from like nano to micro to mid to macro creators, your engagement rate, the expectation does lower. Like, they don't always expect someone who has 1 million followers to have 20% engagement rate. That's like sick. That's like your top tier for sure. But depending on the level that you're in, you're going to want to make sure that you're definitely superseding and you're not working with a super low engagement rate. So just keep that in mind too. If there are any tools that you use or you can sign up for to kind of show you what your engagement rate is, that percentage, definitely check that out, because that will give you some really good insights as well that you can use when it comes to creating your content, as well as when it comes to even pitching a brand, sharing with that brand what your engagement rate is. All right, and the last one that I want to share with you guys is responsiveness. Brands love to work with creators that are going to be responsive, because brands are on a schedule. Like, brands want to be able to execute the campaign within a certain time frame. And if they work with a creator, or they've heard through the grapevine, or they reach out to you and you don't respond, they may not want to work with you on a campaign. If they really love you, they will, of course, but they may not want to work with you on a campaign, or they may pass just because they want a creator that's going to be really responsive and get back to them. What does that mean? If a brand emails you telling you, hey, we have this campaign coming up, are you interested? Can you apply? Can you send us X, Y, and Z? Submitting your content as well. So making sure if the brand gives you a certain timetable, that you try to stay as closely within that timetable as possible. And just being responsive and being forthcoming and sharing with the brand, hey, I know you gave me the timetable of X date. Unfortunately, because this came up, I may not be able to reach it. Is it okay if I can extend it? Brands will kind of work with you and be flexible, but just keep that in mind. Responsiveness is key. Okay, it is key. Professionalism is key, because at the end of the day, you are working with a brand, which is a company, it's an entity. So you want to make sure that you're presenting yourself and putting your best foot forward. So be sure, if you are wanting to work with brands and you've noticed that maybe you have worked with brands in the past and things are slowing down, and maybe because you weren't as responsive and you also didn't submit your content in time, you weren't responsive in terms of getting back with them. If you have an agent, your agent wasn't responsive. So just keep those things in mind as well when it comes to that too. Running through it again, just 5 quick reasons why a brand may potentially pass on a collab. And maybe because of budget/timing, and maybe because of the quality of your content. They want to make sure that they work with creators who have top tier quality. So just make sure you are utilizing the actual method of content the way you create it. Make sure you're utilizing your tools and resources well. They are looking for creators in a particular niche, so you may not fit within that or their target audience that they may be looking for to try to reach. Your engagement and your reach, speaking of reach, your engagement and your reach, top tier. Engagement is super, super important when it comes to working with brands. And then finally, your responsiveness as well. All right, you guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I want to just kind of step in and provide some tips to you all if you guys are creators or influencers and looking to just work with brands and you're wondering why maybe they may be passing up on those collaborations. If you do have any questions, drop them down below. I do have that background of like working with brands directly. So I do have that background knowledge and I'm just happy to help however I can. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like it, subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Bye.